I will move it right along. Podcasters.
Hello and welcome to Midweek Gaming, episode number 47. If you'd like a great gamer picture or logo or background, anything really, the graphic god will sort you out at www.xboxgamingpics.com. And this week we have a special guest on from the Xbox Live 40 podcast, Fabio. How are you doing?
Doing good, mates. Thank you so much for the invite. Finally, I'm here. Oh my god, what a pleasure!
Oh, you've hit the big
I
time.
think we've had all your other co-hosts. So yeah,
you've hit the big time. Now you're on the stubs.
Yeah,
hit the big time.
It's okay. Like I'm okay. You just called Ash, Gina, Rathers first before me, but okay, no worries. No hard feelings for me.
Yeah, but you say that, but aren't you supposed to save the best till last? That's the rules, isn't it?
The best for the last. Okay, let's call Bob then. Let's go. Oh my god.
Have you been playing many games recently? Did you try out the Halo? Well, we'll talk about that later, but.
Yeah, are we going to just go to that?
Yeah.
Going to the
No, we're
topics.
not.
That's it. There we go. I'm doing my job here. All good.
Yes, you are. That's right.
Moving right along. No. Let's before we do that though, Stubbs, can we just take a moment? Let's take a moment because obviously this is the first time Fabio is here. Can we find out a little bit about Fabio first before we go straight into it? I think that's probably for the best. And
my mom has read all the books he's on the cover of. Oh wait.
So Fabio, just please tell us a little bit about yourself, sir, if you don't mind.
Well, if you don't know me, I'm Fabio. I'm the co-host and the co-founder of the XBL Party podcast. We are a very small group. We just started to record these crazy videos and podcasts at the beginning of the year. We've been growing really well and really, really just great to see all the support that the gaming community has been giving to us. And yeah, throughout all of the days that we've been making these projects, it's more or like a hobby to us, but we've met a lot of great people, including you guys. So for me, it's just such a pleasure to be here, especially because we already had Animated Evil and Cerebral Pole at the show. Like, it was just so much fun. Jesus Christ. So yeah, thanks so much for having me here.
Nice. It's good to have you on, Fabio. Hopefully, some more people that haven't checked out the Xbox Live Party podcast will do after this show, because it's a very enjoyable podcast. I mean, to be honest,
is it?
Your podcast kind of came out.
Is it really? Oh,
are you sure? Are you just not lying to me just because of the gas?
I remember when I first heard of the Xbox Live Party podcast, it was on the Halo tournament. I was like, who are they? Because I'd never heard of it before, on YouTube or podcast
You're still
feeds.
asking the same question. Who are we?
But now a lot of quite known in the community now. It's a very good show because I think Mr. Tucci went when he was helping with the Halo competition. He went searching for other people to join up to try and he found you on Twitch. I think that's where he found you, or Twitter, one of the two. And he got you involved there, and then ever since you've been being more part of the community and getting awareness, and that I think it's a good show. I definitely do. Well, and you're better than me at Halo. That's not hard though, really.
No, don't say that, please. Just don't go and say that. We during that tournament we lost the first round with no wins at all. So yeah, don't say that.
Well, I think
don't worry.
Our team did.
We did as well. We got absolutely destroyed. So don't you worry about that. It's one of those things. However,
fun.
it's not the winning, is it? It's the taking part that counts. And here we are.
That's
Here
what my
we are.
missus tells me.
Match made in heaven. There we go. There we
Would you
go.
say that's what the missus
Yes.
tells you? What was that?
It's the taking part.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you win. Just show up.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So yeah, thanks for coming on, Fabio. And Cerebral, how are you
Yes.
doing?
I am doing good. Been busy. You know, just
Busy man,
and,
very busy.
Yep, and yes, I have been playing. Mostly what I've been playing actually is, I have the Avengers on my PC, so I've been kind of going through the solo
Nice.
parts of that. Other than that, yeah, I've been busy working on stuff for the month. Yeah, this is a busy month for me. Too bad I don't get paid for any of it. So,
Yeah,
but it's
definitely
fun.
busy.
Yeah, it's fun. So that's about it, actually.
But it would be way more fun if you got paid for it.
Yes, absolutely.
Simple as
yes.
that.
It would be.
If you have any
Yeah.
interest into paying Cerebral Pole with
Yeah.
that, there we go.
He's
Right,
paid
get
in
them-
love.
Yeah, get the message out to Phil that, hey, Phil,
Yes.
throw him some change. Throw him some pocket change, Phil.
Yeah. And welcome, Animated Evil. Thanks for coming on. How are you doing?
Hello. Do you know what? I'm really, really good today, Stubbs. Thanks for having me on. It's awesome to have Fabio with us today. As it's always awesome to have all of you with me. But yes, I did appear on Fabio's show, and I'm saying it's Fabio's show because he's the sensible one out of the group. The rest of them are just amateurs. The rest of them are just amateurs. He's the professional. You know what I mean? He tries to do everything.
Maybe
So I was
we're
on that
going
show.
to change it. Maybe we're going
Yeah.
to change it.
The Fabio show.
That's it.
That
There we
should
go.
be. Yeah, should be. We'll have to. I'll message Ash after this and say, look, this is where you're going wrong. Okay.
I got
Well,
a
yes,
really good idea to you, man.
Yeah. So yeah.
Hey, you know what?
absolutely brilliant.
At least Fabio's not growing crotch potatoes. Okay, I'm just saying.
This is true. This is true. And as I mentioned, your show, yes, the Ginner is in as well. Hello, the Ginner.
He's watching Married at First Sight Australia. That absolute trash.
Anyhow, back on.
He's
Anyhow,
special. Leave him alone.
I told you, Fabio. It's my fault.
anyhow, back on topic. Okay. Yes, I am very, very good. I've had a little upset in my life at the moment, but it's made me. I feel a better person. I'm so happy right now. So yeah, expect me to be loud and chatty tonight. So yeah, that's where we're at.
That's good to hear. That is.
Yes.
And the next man, I just heard his voice. Removal Sanity. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very, very well. Thank you very much. Yes, again, much appreciated to have me on. And it's great, of course, to see Fabio, the beard, as well as I like to call him, the man with the beard. Actually, three beards. What you got there?
It's
over here the beard has a different meaning. You know that,
Fabio is nearly the beard. Okay. I'm the beard. Fabio
Battle
is
of the
nearly
beards
the
at
beard.
the below here.
I'm
The dice
half
of Star
a beard.
Sank.
That's it.
But yes,
I'm
I have been very, very, very well.
I'm telling you, the Super
Good to
Beard
hear.
Bros needs to be a thing. Really, I'm not joking.
But in terms of in gaming, I have been finishing off Sable, a fantastic little indie game that really has captured my heart, and a few other games as well. One's called Enlisted.
Says the
which is a
Tin Man.
free-to-play. It is, yep. And then actually, literally last night, I managed to get on xCloud on the Xbox to try that out and see how well that worked. But if we ever comes up to it, we'll talk about it later. Stubbs, you can tilt now.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, good to have you on. And the cup of tea is here. Hello, VJ.
Hello, sir. Thanks for having me back on the show again. Nice to meet you, Fabio. And
Hello.
yeah, looking forward to the topics, Stubbs-san.
Yes, I need to
Yes,
get
of those
playing that
dead
game
quiet
with you.
topics. I have topics.
There's topics, is it?
Oh, there's topics. There is topics. Apparently, I've heard
There we go.
rumors there is some topics coming.
The main topic of
Yeah,
this
there
episode
is.
is going to be to talk about the topics. That's it.
So we'll go with.
It's all very
this one.
topical.
So I don't know if any of you played the Halo Infinite technical test for light. They obviously added big team battle. Or has this test sold you, won you over the game? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? What are your thoughts on the game? So very broad question. Now I'll go with the guest first, as I've been reminded to do this. I have. Fabio, did you play it or any previous flights?
Yes, I played both flights that happened, and since the first one, my excitement for Halo Infinite just got bigger and bigger. Like, I'm really glad that we are going to be playing this game at the end of this year. Like, and for what I played from the multiplayer itself, of course, I can only talk about the campaign based on speculations that I have from the trailers that we watched. But from what I can see, this is pretty solid. This is the best gameplay we ever had, especially from 343, because they've been trying to tweak to make at the same time more modern, but at the same time trying to make it way more classic to the Combat Evolved feeling that we had back then. And yeah, I'm just really excited, and I really think that just because the game is not gonna have local co-op or online co-op, it is necessary for it to be delayed. So yeah.
So, yes. It's a very divisive topic, that is, with the people. Some people say, like, you're not bothered about the co-op being delayed, and it's very divisive, that thing there. But in general, you're having fun. That's the main thing, the gist of it.
Yes.
But do you think? Would you say also, just to add to that? I hate to get in. Did you know obviously November, December is the big shooter month? Do you think Halo will come out and will be one of the big boys this year? I do, anyway.
To be honest, I think it is going to be able, but it is necessary. There's one condition that it is necessary, because it needs to have a really good campaign. Like, this is the third attempt of 343. First game they made for Halo was Halo 4, and to me it has a really good campaign but a not so good multiplayer. We had Halo 5. It had a very good multiplayer but a not so good campaign, and now this is their third chance. They need to nail this in terms of the story itself, because in terms of gameplay we are all good to go, because this multiplayer is just awesome.
Yeah, it could be third time lucky. I can't comment on the 4 5 because I haven't played all the Halos. So
can I jump in a little bit?
Yeah,
Just a little bit.
Sure.
So you say, is it going to be one of the big boys? There's a couple of facets you've got to take into account. 343 have had this game right now for 10 years, and if they don't do good, that's they're going to do good. Yep, they're going to do good. They've showed that in their multiplayer flights. It's not even a beta. We're calling it a beta. It's not a beta. It's a flight. It's a test. Review. It's not even. This build is probably 3 or 4 months old. We don't know. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. And the other facet of, is it going to be a big boy contender? You've got to know that it's a free to play multiplayer. Whether you've got Gold, Game Pass or not, it's free to play. Okay, so if you've got a free to play multiplayer coming out around the holidays, Christmas, it's going to be big. It's going to be huge, right? Mm-hmm. You add on to the fact that there is. Let's not go with 30 million like was being suspected. Let's go. There's 20 million people on Game Pass. They get it day and date. It's there. It's available. They can play it. They can do it. Of course, it's going to be a big boy because those 20 or 30 million people that are involved in Game Pass remember what Halo was. Yeah? They've got nostalgia of Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3. Let's forget about 4 and 5 that 343 did. And Paul's laughing, but let's
forget about Halo Reach also.
Yeah, let's throw those two out. Yeah,
let's just not. But this flight reminded me of the multiplayer that I've played in Halo 2 and 3. I've only ever played these in the Master Chief Collection. I'm not a massive Halo fan. However, it just screamed fun. And it screamed fun with friends. And that's all a multiplayer shooter needs to be, to get people to engage, to love it and go, wow, this is brilliant. And if you've got those people that are going to dial in from Game Pass on PC and Xbox, all those millions of people, of course it's going to be a big hitter. It's going to be one of the biggest this holiday.
And don't forget, you don't have to have Game Pass or that to play the multiplayer.
Yeah, because the multiplayer is free to play.
So the first few days, it's going to be wild.
The first few days, no one's going to be able to connect. But once they balance that out, I think it's going to be it's going to be a massive hitter this Christmas, this holiday. It's going to be huge. But that's again my opinion.
Oh yeah, no worries. It's just because when I was asked about if it is going to be a really big hit and it's going to be able to compete with the big boys, I'm not just talking about the multiplayer itself, because not everyone plays Halo multiplayer. There are people that only play Halo for the campaign. And like I've
been one of those. Yeah, I've been one of those because I've never been a big multiplayer person until relatively recently. So,
and like people can say no worries that they liked the Halo 5 campaign and because it was really fun. But when you compare it with all the other campaigns, there's no way for you to, in my opinion, there's no way for you to say that like this is the best campaign that we had. Like, it is the weakest in my opinion, but I had my fun. But yeah, and people are just really expecting to have a really good campaign, an amazing campaign, especially because this is the fourth game that these guys are doing. And like, Jesus Christ, are you going to learn your lesson? Hopefully they are, because with the multiplayer and the gameplay itself, they clearly are. So yeah.
Agreed. But I agree. I completely agree. But it's not so much the fourth game. I mean, they've changed leadership. They've got Mr. Staten, Joseph Staten back in, who was with the old stuff. They've changed a bit of leadership. I think they got a little bit lost last year, the year before, of where they needed to go with it. They didn't realize the potential it could have for Xbox and the selling power with him coming in. I'm not saying it's all respective of that person, but I think they've received as a team a lot more focus and saying, yes, we can do this. It's easy. Come on, let's go. And I think it's been positive steps since then, from what I've seen. But it's definitely going to be along with one of the big boys. Has anybody else played it other than me and Fabio?
Yeah, I did. I played a lot of it, actually. Yeah.
Paul. And what were your thoughts, Paul?
But first, let me say, Stubbs, there are two camps about the online co-op. There's the camp that really doesn't care if it isn't there at launch, and then there's the other camp that is wrong. Okay, so let me just... So no, I actually I've been in. I was in both. I was in all the flights they've had. And I've said it before. I am not a big I've never been a big Halo online person because, let's face it, if those of you have seen me, I'm really bad at it. But this was fun. This felt different. I the first flight they had the bots, which I really like too, because I don't get as frustrated if bots are kicking my ass. I couldn't expect that. You know, because well, I used to be able to say because the bots don't teabag me, but that's not true anymore. but this, I like the way the fluidity new moves. I like the way the guns feel. The BR is my favorite, even though a lot of people say they don't care for it. Some people say that the killing's not fast enough. I will remind those people that this is not Call of Duty.
I was about to say that. Yeah.
This has over shields and other such things, and I like the feel of it all the way. I'll be on this day one. So
That's good to hear. I'll do a few shout outs because loads of people in chat there is. Welcome to the Muppet. Animated Evil, as you're in there.
Yep,
Indie Gamer.
thank you. You're welcome.
Z Black Rider. That Mama Rocks. And you can
I
join
still
in on
giggle every time you welcome the Muppet. I'm sorry.
And Animated Evil can join in on this one. It's Timmy. And welcome to the Graphic Gods. Thanks for stopping in. Shizno Elite, welcome. Midu 11. Right, mate. Pixel Slapper, the Muppet. Well, I don't know. Judzilla. Just going up. There's quite a lot of people. Masuku. Pong Soul. The Jinner. Going up the list. Lady Foxfire, thanks for stopping in.
That Mama Rocks.
DJ.
Graphic God.
Sensei's Thoughts, welcome.
And UK Dazarus.
And UK Dazarus. I'm going right up the list now.
I'm
back from the dead who's driving home. Welcome. And I think we're about... There we go. I think I've got everyone now. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for stopping in. And
if he missed your name, it's because he doesn't care. No, I'm kidding.
And another name, I'm probably going to butcher this. Sorry if I do. Safu. I might have said that wrong.
Sappho,
I probably have. Sorry if I have.
Sappho, I think.
Sappho. Welcome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask VJ because I don't actually think VJ's played the flight. Have you played the flight, VJ, for Halo?
No, I don't really know that much about Halo, or especially Halo Infinite. I haven't played it. I'm just waiting on the solo or the campaign mode. Something I heard somebody say it might have been removable. I can't remember now. But designing a single player campaign experience versus a multiplayer endeavor requires very, very different skill sets, and so I'm very, very curious to see how the campaign mode. That's for me personally. I want to play that in December when it launches, and it might turn out very differently. And I'm not saying good or bad, but just depending on what your own personal taste is and what you expect, or what direction you expect the story to go in. If you've been a fan for the last 20 years.
Yeah, I was going to point out real quick that doing a single player thing requires a script writer, just like a movie, to tell a story. And so, just like a movie, you either get a really good one or a really bad one, and sometimes it's hard to get it all to work right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So, but I've got my fingers crossed. I wouldn't say that they had a few changes last summer. I think they had a wholesale changes in the management and the stakeholders over at 343, and I think for the better, really. And I think what it showed me with Joseph, as I think I said on Boom Show a couple of times when I was on there, that as long as he's been given the tools and the time frame and a carte blanche approach to help deliver the game they want to deliver, then it will be good. But he shouldn't be judged if he's steering the ship. I think he picked up a bit of a poison chalice there. He's damned if he does or damned if he doesn't. So I think that my opinion is that he's only had a year on the project. Given he must have needed a few months to get his feet under the table, and then a year to get the game out. And so I don't think that he should be held accountable for how it turns out. I actually think that he should be, once this game is out, after they do a post-mortem and whatever their findings are, hopefully he'll get a fresh run at producing whatever the next game is over at 343. While he's actually in charge, right, and not picking up the pieces of somebody else's mess. So I think that should be taken into account. But I'll stop there in case I get kicked off the show.
No, good thoughts there, VJ. Definitely. I know Removable Sanity's been playing Halo. Have you got any thoughts?
Yeah, well, as someone who's been playing Halo since the beginning, I will address Cerebral's previous comment, facing no co-op on the single player. For me, it was kind of it's part and parcel of the ethos of Halo for me. It was one of the reasons that actually got me into Halo was playing co-op with a friend throughout the whole of the campaign. And if that hadn't have been there, I don't think I probably would have fallen as hard or as well with the Halo campaign. So for me, it's a little bit of a history, a little bit of a background, but also, as VJ has quite pointed out, he's interested in the campaign, and I would have loved to try and basically play the campaign with him throughout the whole process. So not having that is a little bit of a disappointment. But at the same time, I can understand that maybe, COVID has had some implications. As you said, there's a poison chalice aspect going on, certain decisions being made, now locked in, and they can't really get around that. We'll see what it is. I'm hoping the campaign is going to be good. I didn't really click with the 4 and 5 in terms of their campaigns, but looking at the trailer, it does seem that it seems to be going back more to its roots, more to, a little bit more of a darker side to the story. So I'm hoping that will give us thing. For the multiplayer, I was lucky enough to play both the alpha and the beta, and there was definite jumps from the very first beta one to the recent one. There was definitely jumps in smoothness, in gameplay, and actually in just the actual overall presentation. For instance, it's guaranteed to be a winner now. You can shoot fruit, so that's always a good sign. So I think generally, and I think I picked this up on the previous podcast, the fun factor, and I think that's what sold me with Halo in the multiplayer, and what kind of didn't sell me for the 4 and 5 was that it's the fun factor, the silliness of Halo. You can have the fact that it does have that technical ability there if you want it. It does have that prestigious element if you want it. If you want to go through and really hone your skills using all the weapons and using all the guns to become the best marksman, you can do so. But for me, that was never the reason why I got into Halo. The reason for me was the stupid stuff, the silly stuff. Getting into a warthog and trying to shove it through one of the the lifts whilst throwing a grenade at yourself and trying to do a kamikaze. It was the complete and utter stupidness.
That's a daily real time. I was going to say that's a daily real life occurrence for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just the utter stupidness.
Brings memories.
It does, and it does. Just the most funniest things I had was someone being utter stupid. I remember someone we was about to lose one time, so someone said, "Look, you're becoming a kamikaze." They all threw a whole load of sticky grenades on my back, and I just ran into the middle of our group, and we won. I took out the entire group, and it was that stupidness, that silliness. Let's try and do something unique. See what we can break the game. See what we can do, what we can't do, and I think the multiplayer sold it on that one. This time you could see people were doing stupid stuff. People were throwing a grenade, they use a repulsor to bounce it back at them. People were driving the warthog off a cliff and then jumping and getting hooked back to their positions. It was that what can I do sort of aspect, which I'm glad it's there, and I'm glad it's going to be there, and I think it will bring more people to it. Now the question is, will it be as big boy in the other players? I can't say for certainty, because there are some big players out there. We have Battlefield 2030, and we also got Call of Duty. So they have a well-known fan base. They have a well-known franchise, and we've forgotten that if you weren't happy with the multiplayer for 4 and 5, you probably went and found a different multiplayer, and you may have transpired or moved over to those series now. So I don't know. I'm going to hold pause on this, whether or not until I've played the demos or the betas of those games to see if they're any good and they're living up to the fun factor.
I apologize. I'm going to cut in again, but how many of those players that are playing those big boys on Call of Duty and Fortnite and stuff are actually just playing it because they're the things around and whatever, because they're on. There's nothing. Trying to get my words out. there's nothing on Game Pass for them to play. How many of those people are members of Game Pass because they've got nothing to play are going to go,
Yeah.
do you know what? I've got Game Pass.
Also, that's also
how many of those are going to switch?
That's real quick. That's one of the bonus things about coming in on December 8th or whatever it is. Those other games will have already been out. Halo's going to hit, and they're going to want to go. Hey, let's go.
True. Be the hot buzz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like in my opinion, just because Battlefield and Call of Duty they have their big and massive fan base, like Halo has a way bigger weight to it because this is like one of the kings of FPS. Like we had Doom, we had Wolfenstein, we had Half-Life, and then we have Halo.
Yeah.
Like these are the kings of FPS. So when you mention those names for the gaming community, they like, oh my god, this is a new Halo. At least people are going to be curious about it and will try it out, especially now that it's free, the multiplayer. So yeah,
that's definitely going to play into it without a doubt. The free factor is a very business savvy move without a doubt, and as you rightly said, it's going to get people in it who probably wouldn't have had money, funds to do so, and also it's going to be there as the Animated pointed out after the big boys themselves have, and it has that going for it. And I'm hoping it is going to be one of the big boys. You know, it'd be absolutely fantastic to be seeing everyone playing that over Christmas and everyone having a major fun time. But we all know how fickle gamers are. We all know there's that big influx of gaming the moment it comes out, and then generally about a month later it fizzles out. So for me, I'm looking at when I classify it as one of the big boys, it's the sustained length in terms of people playing it.
You're talking concurrent players, right?
Yes. And that's the pause. That's the pause for me. The other two, we know they have a almost guaranteed, pretty leveled concurrent player base. The previous iterations of the multiplayer for Halo haven't, where it dropped off pretty quickly. Now, this, as I said, this one is different, and it feels different. It feels much more retro with a whole fresh paint on it as well, a new color to it. But I'm still hesitant. I'm just wondering if it's that little shiny. Oh, this is shiny. This is lovely. How long will it last? And that's what's pausing me again.
And the fruit may not explode, but you can shoot at gophers. So there you go.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
You've got to remember, this isn't a one and done game. This isn't just 2 years. This is going to be a game as a service, like the rest of them. There's going to be content coming. There's going to be upgrades coming. They're going to be, and they've seen the Fortnite model. They know what they're doing. They've got plans we don't know about. Okay, forget the single player. It's going to be absolutely astronomical. But it's all about what that multiplayer is going to offer us, because they are offering it up as a games for a service. That's why it's called Halo Infinite ongoing. Okay, so it's what they've got to do in the future, what they're going to do. We don't know it. We've seen quite a lot. However, I think they're playing a lot of cards to their chest.
Oh yeah.
Okay. As I played the game this weekend, it would make sense that it's going to pull me in with my friends. I was lucky enough to jump in on Sunday with the guys from Green Pass Gaming. Okay,
I was there too.
Yes, Stubbs was there as well. And
wait a second, you played against the guys from Green Pass Gaming?
No. Their podcast was us, everybody playing that game, and we had a team of 12. We had a full team of 12, and there was like 14 in the party, and do you know what? It was absolutely
fun,
bloody brilliant.
No, it's because here's the thing: if you are playing against the Green Pass Gaming, you are going to lose.
Oh, we know that.
Amazingly bad.
No.
Those guys,
dude.
I don't know if they play Halo every single day of their lives, and if Well,
We-
oh my
That's actually
God.
not. That's actually not true because the
We-
Green Pass gaming guys before that, they're very good at shooters in general. They are not just
Yeah.
Halo.
the good gamers, the good gamers.
Yeah.
However,
Oh,
we
yeah, for
did.
sure.
We were on the same team. We were in a big team battle together on their podcast, which broadcast last Sunday. It was amazing, and to get 12 friends like that together in a party and chatting,
Was
that's
amazing.
where we're going. You don't get that in Call of Duty. I've never had that camaraderie in Call of Duty. I've never had it in Fortnite. I've never had it in, and I've played a
Yeah.
few of these games, but that is where it's going, and that's what it's going to promote.
But like,
And I think that's where it's going to shine.
Yeah, I mean, I had the privilege of hanging out with Ains and Gaz and those guys, but I spent a lot of time with Mav and those guys too. And the parties were always full. We had a lot of fun. It was neat to be able to have 12 people in there with you. You know,
Because I have to say, with this Halo Infinite, I mean, obviously, Animated Evil probably knows I haven't played multiplayer in a long time. But Halo Infinite, and not just this Sunday, the Sunday before, Mr. Tucci invited me to a party chat. He didn't think I'd actually a microphone on. And we had a few games, and I really think this Halo Infinite is pulling me back into multiplayer because it's more about, I'm not the best in the world, but it's more about the fun of playing with friends. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest pulls for the multiplayer because you will get people. A lot of people hate to hear this, right? There will be a massive player base that will ignore that campaign. They will go straight to multiplayer. It happens in Call of Duty. They just play multiplayer, and that's all they do.
And that's what they're going to push as a games as a service. And that's why I think.
And also,
it's gonna be big.
based off last week's conversation, how we've been theorizing there will be two apps. It seems that on the Xbox store, on the Xbox Series X, in the Game Pass section, in the coming soon, it actually states one of the apps. It says Halo Infinite multiplayer. So I'm guessing that they've both got separate apps, like we discussed. Which will be the free to play
that's the best way to do it, or else they're going to end up being like Call of Duty, and everybody's going to hate that shit. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Couple more shout outs. Just quickly.
Go.
Couple more people came in. Don't ignore them. And as Animated Evil was talking about Green Pass gaming, Luke Steele replied with Green Pass Gaming Crush. It was great fun in that group. Well, welcome, mate. Thanks for stopping. And also we have, let's go down the list. 108's Dragons TV, welcome. And I'll see if I can say his name right. Wubba Fat, welcome.
Wubba Fat, yep.
That's it.
Yep, he's a fellow ambassador.
Thanks for stopping and carry on.
It's all gone quiet. Da, 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 da. Next.
I probably made him forget what he was saying. Animated Evil.
Actually, that's exactly what I know.
Okay.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I want to say a big hello to Dragon Wolf as well, my boy. How you doing, dude?
Dragon Wolf, welcome.
There's going to be no insults tonight. Respect. I don't want to upset you. You know, you're an old man. I don't want to upset you or anything. But yeah, respect, Dragon Wolf. Good to see you.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back in a couple minutes.
No worries.
But yeah. I mean, I'm quite willing to move on from Halo if you want. That's. I think I've said my piece. If everyone else has had their piece,
going back to the topic,
I'm quite willing to move on. Next
Any
topic.
more thoughts on that? No. Okay.
No.
all good.
I'm gonna, because Paul's stepped away from it, I'm gonna go to a different subject while he comes back. So there was rumours for ages and people were laughing at Blue Point. They kept making mistake after mistake and making themselves look silly, these little stunts on social media, etc. But finally, PlayStation has announced that Blue Point Games is part of the PlayStation family now. It's joined PlayStation Studios. It's exciting news. It's positive news for the portfolio of PlayStation alongside recent acquisitions of Nixus, Returnal developers.
Are you reading the press release? Because let's be honest, Blue Point Blue Point, let's be honest, was fucking mistakenly announced about 3 months ago when they meant to fucking announce Housemarque. They put
did
Blue
they?
Point on. Yes,
I missed that. Then.
yes.
Right.
When they purchased Housemarque, they did Housemarque announcement, and then the day after, or I think it was something
at
like
the
4 hours
same day.
after.
It was at the same
Was it the
time.
same day? Was it a few hours after? They also announced Blue Point as well.
Yeah.
And they
With
said,
the
"Oh no,
banner
sorry,
and all, like,
and they was like, "Oh no, sorry, we made a mistake." So that's the worst kept secret in fucking game of knowledge. It's like,
Yeah,
oh well,
but Adam,
yeah, whatever.
animated. What you don't realize is it was organic growth. So that's the main thing.
No, we're not going there. We're not going there. We are.
No, we're not going to the
I
fanboy
refuse
stuff, no.
to go there because the thing is, it is probably one of the worst kept secrets in announcements because they already had the exact thing they posted. Sony would like to welcome Blue Point. They posted 6 months ago, or however long it was. It was so yeah.
I
Well
missed
done,
that.
Sony.
no,
we knew
but still, I think
it's good.
that
It's
this
good.
is really
It's good.
exciting.
It's a
I
good
think-
buy. It's still a good buy,
Yeah,
isn't it? At the end of the
I
day.
think Blue Point Studios is a really good buy for PlayStation because their Demon Souls game, for what I saw, I didn't play. I don't have a PS5, but for what I saw, it seems to be really, really good. So they just made a really good buy. No, I don't think he is as good as Insomniac, but this is a really good one. Also,
Oh,
and
great.
I think it's just amazingly exciting for the studio. Like, oh my god, we don't have to deal with any more trouble to seek out publishers to bring the games so we can have some more money to survive. No, now they are all set, and that's it. I think that's awesome for the studio. So congratulations.
Well,
to them.
it is a clever purchase because let's face it. Now, as you rightly said, they've got their remasters set now. They've got a catalogue of games. They've got an in-house remastering studio that can hit any of their titles, and they know, as you rightly said, they know they're good as well. And remasters is you know, it is a big thing. It sells well.
Yep. Get
If
ready
it's done
for
well-
a Ridge Racer remaster. Sorry.
It's there is so many things they could remaster, and so you know it's I'm intrigued at what it is they're going to end up remastering, what is in their books, because you rightly said there is a nice swathe of catalogue of games that anyone could want, and I know a lot of PlayStation people are going to be chomping at the bits at trying to get Sony to remaster a lot of games. So for me, it's an in-house purchase and it's a superb one because it means you rightly said they don't have to go outside, they don't have to deal with it. They've got that person. It's almost like a guaranteed. It's something that could always be continuously keep going. They could always remaster something. So regardless of any brand new IP that's coming out, there's a consistent. I think, and this is just my opinion. There's still a consistent. They can always churn out a remastered game that they know that this studio will do well. So it's just like a game in the bag.
Exactly. Shiz knows an agreement. Remasters print money, so it's definitely a good buy for Sony. There's loads of games to be remastered too.
Well, yeah, it's effectively it gives them a consistent game catalog that they can basically pump out at any point. With all the new IPs, they can focus on the new IPs, but regardless, Sony can now consistently put out a remaster of something every year, almost. You know, what's their up and running maybe, but they can consistently put something out, and that guarantees them a game or two games every year, which a lot of people are going to buy.
Here's the thing.
I would.
Yeah, just to make it clear, I was at no point saying it wasn't a good buy, not at all.
Oh, you are.
I was just saying it was not a surprise because guess what? They made that little mistake and told us those months ago. Okay, so it's an awesome buy. It really is. Anything they buy is going to be awesome because they're going to put the time, the love, and the development into all of their studios, as with Xbox. I wasn't saying it was a shit buy. I just clearing that up.
Two things that I wanted to end up pointing out here is that I don't think that only that just to say that they are going to do remasters is going to be enough. They need to do remakes. Like they need to really make the game not just look different, but also to feel kind of different. Not necessarily amazingly different, because I'm using as my example the Demon Souls, because people are saying that this is beyond just a simple remaster for the PS5. Like it's like it feels classic as the Demon Souls, but it feels different enough to be considered as a new game. So I think that just to say they are going to make remasters, I think that's not the best way to say it. I think the
No,
best way
I
to
see what
say
you're
is
saying.
they're going
Yeah,
to do
it's
remakes.
well, yes. I think it's remake stroke remaster, as you said. It's going to be a good combination of the historical nature of the game with something fresh added into it. Yeah, that's kind of just stating as a remaster is probably is a wrong way of stating it. Yes, but as you said, that's a guaranteed. You know, depending on which ones they're going to do, looking into that, something guaranteed in the pipeline all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Which people are just going to be like. In fact, if anything, it's going to get the hype up for them. They're going to be consistently clamoring that studio for their favorite remaster stroke remake.
Oh
For
yeah,
sure,
they will,
for
because
sure.
PS4 generation, they released a lot of what they called the HD remaster, loads of them, and they made loads of money. So I'd think on the PS5 they do the same for. I want to say that they're going to remaster every game they've ever made, just the ones they think they're going to sell well. That's all. It's a good. It's more games. It is.
One thing that I that I really find interesting is that some people are saying that, oh, this is not such a good buy because this doesn't make any difference on Xbox. After all, they only made exclusives to PlayStation. Understand, I am an Xbox gamer, but I need to criticize this, because if you think that it is a Blue Point Studios is a bad buy for PlayStation just because it's not going to mean shit for Xbox, then you cannot celebrate that Xbox bought Undead Labs and Playground Games. Okay, I'm sorry, but yeah, I just wanted to point out that, because I think this console war bullshit is just getting to another level. Like, let people just celebrate that. Oh my god, my console has got a new studio.
Hey, I was happy for him.
Yeah, for sure.
I was happy for him, because I tell you what, there's a hell of a lot of titles out there I would like to see remastered from the Sony package, and to be honest with you, that would probably push me into getting their system. If there's I've got a couple of games in my mind, I won't say, but if they remastered them, that would definitely push me into getting their system. So if I'm thinking it, there you go.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the objective. Just like Xbox did with, we bought Bethesda, so a lot of people are now thinking about, maybe it's best for me to buy an Xbox. They just did it with you.
That's true. I just want to get VJ's thoughts on it. Have you got any thoughts, VJ?
I think it was inevitable, right? I think it's not really a surprise for anyone. You only have to look back at Sony's history, right? With Guerrilla Games, Naughty Dog, and what more recently with Housemarque and Insomniac, to mention. I think they're the two latest ones, right? Other than Blue Point Studios. And Sony's funded and invested in all of those consistently, right? And for numerous years. And I think Blue Point they've invested in for over 15 years. So as with most sort of large investments, because games aren't cheap to make, and we all know that, right? Whether it's a remake or whether it's a completely new game, Sony are doing exactly the same again, right? They've pretty much acquired all the studios that they've invested in for numerous amount of years, and they've done it again now with sort of at arm's length investing into, I think it was Jade Raymond's Haven, and there was another Deviation or something studios. If all going well, and they'll fund those studios, right, for the first game 4 or 5 years, and if it goes well, they'll extend it again for another 4 or 5 years, developing another title, and then perhaps in a decade or more, they'll look to purchase them, right, and no doubt they'll have an option to do so. And for me, if you're a developer it gives you a lot of time to create and develop, not just create a game, but develop your studio, but also create value, right, in the team, right? Because at the end of the day, what are you doing, right? When you're buying a company, right, you're effectively purchasing the management team, right, that's made it a success, right? And the company that Sony or whatever Microsoft buy long term, right? They are just looking at studios that not only have good talent, not only have good ideas, not only create competent games, but can remain consistent, right? Because I think somebody mentioned, was it you, Removable, that game was a fickle, right? And the tastes change, right? And something that you may think is a good idea today, in 5 years' time, maybe at the bottom of the pile or some pile anyway. So they've got to be able to think ahead and have vision. And again, you know, why I think it's good for studios, especially like Jade Raymond, who's been from everywhere from Ubisoft over to Google. I forgot where else she's been, and now back to having, you know, well, not back to having, but now being able to sort of steer the ship of her own good studio at her age. She's got a very good chance of benefiting, you know, all the stakeholders, founders or shareholders, or however the business is structured. I don't know, right? And running that studio, and long term, that they know if they do well, that they will benefit from an acquisition of Sony, right? Because the reason why you build a business is you're not going to die and take it with you, right? You've only got, given how pressurized the game industry is to work in it, given how incestuous it is as well, everyone's got a time limit in terms of how long they survive in the games industry. So everyone's ultimately looking for an exit, right? We're not all going to work till we're 60 or 70 or 80, other than Stubbs probably. And so
it won't be, no.
They've got something to work towards, right? Short term, medium term, and long term being 10 years onwards. And you can also look at, sometimes I look at it as that one that got away. I don't know if you guys remember Quantic Dreams. They used to work for Sony like quite sort of religiously, right, for an extended period of time. And David Cage was always an odd one, right? But he'd always have something that would show up at the sort of preview event of a new console, right? When Sony would have their sort of video montage of future promise, and David Cage and his studio would always have something to show, right? On their own, working on their own engine, and him and his studio, they worked with Sony for quite a significant period of time. But Sony ultimately decided that David Cage and Quantic Dreams, and based on what they wanted to make, didn't fit with Sony PlayStation's brand or stable of developers. So it's not a case of that they buy every company that they invest in for a numerous amount of years. And both of those studios, Quantic Dreams and I think what was the one, Bluepoint, nobody else has invested into those studios other than Sony. So for all intents and purposes, they may as well have been, you know, named a Sony company back then, right? Other than the paperwork and funds or appropriate funds being exchanged, right? In terms of and shareholding certificates, I guess. But and I don't want to sort of discredit Quantic Dreams in any way, because they obviously did take a large investment, even though it was for a minority share. I can't remember what it was, Korea or China. They took an investment, right, to remain independent and start to make multi-format games. And perhaps David wanted to make sure that his creations of the content that he's create is not just experienced on Sony formats, but he preferred to have his games perhaps
and a wider audience, I think,
like PC and Xbox gamers and anywhere else that his games can appear on longer term. And look, some may suggest Sony is purchasing the studio to bolster its first party content pipeline. And I've said before, it's going forward, it's all about content ownership, right? And then deployment of that content, whether it's, you know, via your hardware or via other people's hardware, or it ends up everything's being streamed, you know, to your watch in 10 years time. I don't know. But if you own content, you're in business, right? Ultimately, right? And whether they're remakes, and as you were saying, you know, you want remasters and remakes, Removable, you know, who knows? We might get remasters and remakes of remakes and remasters that exist today. Who knows? And sort of, you know, I know that someone mentioned, and I heard it a couple of times. I don't really play any credence to it, but you know, but Sony's all about, you know, organic growth. Yeah, I'm going to go there. It's
Are we going to mention
jokingly
that? The organic grow was all a bullshit since the beginning. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
VJ's angle will be quite different, though.
But as I've said at the beginning of I can't remember what I was talking about now. My memory's going. But it's Sony trademark. It's trademark Sony business practice or strategy. It's nothing new, and they don't just do it in the gaming industry. It's just that's all that we're exposed to. If you actually look at all of the divisions within their business, all of the pillars that actually make up Sony Corporation, they do this throughout their history and throughout all the divisions. So you cannot point or label them in that way, shape, or form, because if you do, that means you haven't done your research, and you don't understand how Sony as a Japanese company exists today. So for what I see it is that what Sony are actually doing, right, from a strategic point of view, whether it's Sony or I'm saying Sony, I'm not saying PlayStation, so keep that distinction in mind, right, is Sony want to invest and incubate certain types of companies for a period of years and then acquire them to mutual benefit. And however you want to look at it, for me, that way, the way that they've structured their approach is far more organic than anything that competitors or other industries do. I'm not saying they're all done, because I don't know every single industry in the world, right? So I'm just talking from the games perspective here. And you have to look at Xbox and EA and even Activision's checkered past, right? It's acquire, milk said studio and IP, rinse and repeat, move on, and look for other prospects. Having said that, Xbox with Game Pass, with their acquisitions, which I think most of them occurred in 2018, getting ready for this generation, right? Because the last generation, let's be honest, they didn't turn up, right? They were an absentee landlord, and or perhaps they all went on holiday. I don't know, but getting themselves established for this time around, I think that they've looked at the industry, they've looked at Nintendo, looked at Sony, especially over a period of 10 or 15 years. And it may look like, oh my God, 20 years. But for a company like Xbox or Microsoft, 10 or 15 years is short term, right? It's not long term. And they've looked at it, and perhaps this time around, they're looking at acquiring, nurturing, developing studios, not like what they did with Insomniac by letting them slip through their fingers. That was very short-sighted, I think, of Microsoft at that time. And this time around, hopefully they will hit the heights in terms of quality, not just in the quality of the games that they produce, removable, but in terms of how they develop the studios and how they develop. And a very good example of that, I think, last June or July, when the E3 was the showcase from Ninja Theory. In terms, if you really, I know they didn't show much, but if you really listen to what he had to say, you can really understand the blueprint for that studio going forward, and it's really encouraging. And if you actually go back and listen to it really, really carefully, what he's saying is it's got a different mindset and approach to how games should be made. Now, I don't know if every single studio is going to be afforded that, because obviously there's quite a bit of how do you say it, like difference between the studios, not just in size but in production methodology. They're all very, very different, right? They're not all cut and cookie cutter studios, right? They've all got very, very development processes and sizes and ways that they create content. But hopefully the overall, if they've got a project that's that Microsoft's Greenlight team believe in, that they can turn around and say to them, you know what, you need this time, and give them the support that they need, right, to prepare themselves for whatever game that they want to make going forward. And it's no surprise to me, right, that several of the games that everyone keeps saying that will be out this year, will be out next year, will be out in 2023, that they won't be out for a numerous amount of years. And you only have to look at last gen, when games, the great games from last year, right, that everyone knows what they are. If you actually go and look at how long they took to make, they almost took a generation to make, right? And there's no one out there that can actually place bigger bets than Xbox right now. But it's not just about placing the bet, right? And but I don't want to get into all of that because we'll be here till midnight. But any questions? Welcome.
No, some very good thoughts.
Wow.
It's very
wow.
And done.
Okay, that's it then. Thank you.
He's not done. Trust me. He's paused.
Thank you.
Thank you. One more thing.
Thank you for attending the VG Hour. Now we're a word from our sponsor.
That's the episode, guys.
Yeah, go on, Paul.
Here we go.
Go on, Paul.
Go on what? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, you say one more thing.
Really?
No, that's the thing. One more thing. That's.
I see.
Throw that out there. Just
okay. So.
I just wanted to say, I think Paul's actually clairvoyant, because he actually knew we were entering the Twilight Zone. He said, "Yep, this is my time. I'll be back in half an hour."
So, Stubbs, what's next, dude? Let's go.
Have you got your thoughts on this, Paul?
What VJ said. No.
Yeah, okay.
What Vijay said and much more. That's it.
Yeah. I don't get, it's a good buy for them. I agree with everybody else. There's nothing, there's no bad side to it. There's no, like somebody said, it's not about the console war crap. I don't care. They buy stuff, Xbox buys stuff. It works out good for everybody. I mean, like somebody said, it's going to be interesting to see if they, if they stick to just doing remasters or whatever, or if they're actually going to be kind of groomed to do some new stuff down the road. So
And you have to say if you're just something you said, Paul, that just triggered something. If you don't mind me saying, is that
no, go ahead.
You actually look at it, if you take Sony and Microsoft out of the equation, looking at the competitive nature of both companies and very distinct business strategies, that all aside, what's really interesting to see is that if Microsoft weren't stepping up their approach in terms of how they want to, let's just put it bluntly, really, Shelby, how they want to grow their percentage ownership of the industry, would Sony have bought Insomnia? Would they have bought Blue Point Games? Would they have bought Housemarque? And I think that the beneficiaries, if you really think about it, it should tell you that if you're a good studio, you're a competent studio, you've got vision, you can deliver consistently, right? There's money in it for you, yeah, and you can strive for that over the next 5 to 10 years. Just keep your feet on the ground, because either Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, or other players, whoever they may be, that may end up being in the industry, or others that may fall away, there'll always be an avenue for you to get to that pot of gold, or pot of the gold at the end of the rainbow. So I think the winners here are studios, right? And if they're not being acquired, they're finding it much easier, I believe, given the sheer number of studios that there are, and especially compared to 20 years ago, in terms of the investment that they need to make games, not having to sort of forfeit their families, right, and their firstborn, right? They can give away a minority share and raise the funding that they need, right, to create the games that they want to. So anyway, so just another thought. I should have maybe just kept it to myself. There you go.
No, it's good because it makes me think too.
Point. You've got a point. You've got a point. And Paul's got something to say. Apologize, Paul. Go on.
Yeah, because you bring up a point, and it's interesting. Xbox has ID at Xbox with all the indie guys. I'm sure they're watching those studios and seeing what they produce, and who knows, at some point they may be brought directly underneath Microsoft's umbrella. It's a great grooming type of situation. Let's grow these studios, the best we can and see what comes of it. Because they're getting a greater look at a lot more studios, big and small, and it gives them to look at the future. Okay, what do we need? What are we missing? Can these guys fill a niche that we need? Personally, that's what I think is maybe down in the future. But whatever. What do I know?
Yeah, you're right.
A lot.
You're completely right. You're completely right.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's true. It's good.
Yeah.
We'll just wait and see what they produce. I'm sure they will produce some good games, but we'll just wait and see. It's just good for gaming in general. It is.
Yep.
Now we'll get on to another topic now. So, Xbox had an accessibility showcase October 2021, and
they do. Holy crap! I must have.
You were in it. You were.
Oh.
Oh, I hadn't seen.
I don't know. There was. I think it was all very, very well done, but there was just one really annoying guy called Paul there. I don't know, really strange, really bizarre.
It was great. If Cerebral Paul wasn't there, it would have been great. No, other than that, sorry, we're poking fun.
It was amazing.
Carry on, Stubbs. Carry on.
It had an Xbox accessibility showcase, which I thought was great. I mean, there was one feature on there. It obviously showed off the disability community, accessibility community, and what the one that really thought this is a really good feature is where a woman played with her brother, and a game, and it's some mode. I didn't know this mode existed. It's called. Apparently, it's quite. She reckoned it's quite common now in games. It's called co-pilot, where if you've got one controller, if the other person can use a certain percentage of the controller due to mobility issues of the hand, and then the other person can use a second controller, and they play as one. Is that correct? I think it's fascinating that's a
so
feature.
basically, one person could control the movement and one person could control the shooting. One person could be control. If you're driving, one person could be doing the steering, one person could be doing the acceleration and deceleration. There's a variety of different options for it to happen, and as rightly said, it came in, and then Paul, you'll be able to cut out this. It came in 2018, didn't it?
Oh,
is it
okay.
2019?
And Mixer had it built in. Actually, Mixer had a.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it was pretty low latency. It was actually pretty cool. There's a program now called Parsec that basically does the same thing. That allows you to if I'm having trouble with the game, I can say, hey, take control of this for a few minutes to get me past this part. And barring lag issues or latency issues, they can help you do that. Because it's not just one or the other. You can actually give them entire control of your controller, yours as though they're you, so they can get past a certain part or do something that you're having trouble doing.
One thing that just kind of does pick up to me is that's going to be very helpful. Say, for instance, if you have children and they can't get past something, Daddy, can you give me a helping hand? Or in my case, son, could you give me a helping hand? It's that's another little asset access thing.
Yep.
But the show was just packed with features. It's like I didn't know in games you could change the monitor, the color down, and you could change the gamma, and you can change things in the screen settings. So
or the brightness from the Xbox icon,
colorblind mode, and there was all these different features I didn't realize existed. And Halo Infinite had features that hadn't really been. They had new features, and I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Paul. Was it motor neuron that helped with something to do with the screen? I may have got the name wrong, but it was something where you could really play with the settings, so you could play with games.
The accessibility has a lot of very fine tuning settings. Not only is it about the settings, though, they also they went into representation. I was in a party and somebody said, "Why does your arm look like it's a prosthetic?" Hey, guess what? It was. They actually purposely put prosthetics in the game to represent disabled people with missing limbs. So the arms and legs, they are actually one of the choices you have cosmetically is a prosthetic limb.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. Yeah. Another thing I thought when I watched it first, I was like, what is Phil Spencer describing himself? Then I realised that's why, because for people that can't obviously see, they can just hear. And I thought that was really good as well. But as soon as he said it, I thought, and then I worked out exactly why. It was quite obvious. But at first, I thought, why is he saying that? But it's good that they were doing
when I've been on group calls with them, that's what we do when we start talking.
Oh, okay.
My name is Paul Martin. I am a male. I'm white. I have gray hair. I'm wearing this color shirt, that color hat. It just gives so visually they can picture in their head, what somebody looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice.
To be fair, the person who really needs to speak about this is got to be Paul, isn't it? Really, Paul. I mean, you've been lucky enough to be involved in this situation. You are our beacon for representation, I would say, on the podcast. You know a little bit more than everybody else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess from your perspective is, how did you feel it? How do you feel it went? And also, I suppose, is there stuff missing or stuff you would like to be seen in the industry, not just Xbox? Because we'll say Xbox has kind of pushed a little bit, but we'll go wider, the industry. Where else? What you'd like to see grow in that regards?
Before you answer, Paul, I'd like to make a massive shout out to the chat to Lady Foxfire, who's legally blind and has all these issues as well. Yeah, so I've just put out there that I've asked her to give us a couple of examples what the things you're doing, the things you're involved with is doing for her in the chat.
Yes, please do.
I just wanted to give a shout out to her, just as another perspective, basically, before you answered. Okay, so
absolutely.
With that said, I apologize for interrupting. Off you go, sir.
Oh, no problem. But I was going to say, and from my point of view, when I talk to people about this stuff, or even when I've spoken to the accessibility people at Microsoft, I don't just focus on what I need. I try to look at, okay, will this help somebody like Lady Foxfire, somebody like Viper 7 Gamer, who's a quadriplegic gamer. I try to get a bigger picture. I don't just try to focus on it's what I need and this is what I want type of thing. Though that's part of it, but I try not to be so selfish in that way. It's about helping everybody. It has become my favorite thing to say, and I don't know if Phil coined the phrase, but he definitely used it. When everybody plays, we all win. So, and to do that, they have to do what continue to do what they're doing. And I've said it before on this show and on others. Microsoft has been leading the way in accessibility. Period. Okay.
Yes.
There's no well maybe. No, there's no well maybe about it. Okay. Because I've seen what the other companies are doing or aren't doing in this case. And a lot of times they're trying to catch up with what's happened. Rumor had it, I can't guarantee this is true, that they were offered the technology of the accessibility controller and said, no, we're good. So,
I
that
heard
alone
that as well.
That alone kind of makes you cringe. Yeah.
Apparently, it was in the interview because I can't remember what big website, American website, they won a big award for the innovation on it. And I'm sure when they got asked about it, they actually said that the patents, they're willing to give it to anybody who wants to create their own version for their console. And they said they had no takers.
Yeah. And that's just, to me, I just don't understand that, because now they're going to be looking at it going, wow, we should have really gotten in on the ground for that shit.
Well, that's a financial thing. They're gonna go through nothing personal, but they're gonna go through your wallet. And if they can get something that's they own, they'll try it that way.
Well, and my honest opinion about the accessibility controller, it's a little high priced. By the time you get the add-ons and stuff that you need to make it usable for you, it's a little high priced, but it is what it is. I mean, basically, if anybody didn't know it, it is the Elite 1 controller in a big in a little white box. The guts of my accessibility controller are basically the same as the Elite 1. So.
One thing that I really liked about this event, in my opinion, that I think is just kind of quite beautiful, because here's the thing: Stubbs he just sent me the topics for today's episode, and at the topics he asked like, what was your favorite feature or anything that just caught your attention. In my opinion, since like I can't speak as well as Paul about this. Paul is just the best person for this whole topic. But I think that the best part for me is just the fact that Xbox cared enough to have made a whole event. Even though it was just a 40-minute video, but like they just really made a really good production to make a show to talk about this. I think this is just so well done, and I thought it was just so beautiful, in my opinion.
And Paul was under NDA; he knew all about it.
Well, yeah, but and this is I believe the second year they've done this. They also did earlier this year. I was part of GAD, Gaming Accessibility Awareness Day, which was in the spring. They also did that. There's also some video for that, and they also had the Accessibility Summit that run alongside their MVP Summit that usually takes place in Seattle. Hopefully this year I will be going. We can hope, or next year, as the case may be. but they do these things, and they do these not to throw it all on myself, but part of the reason you all know about this is because you know me. This stuff sometimes goes on, and it goes past over a lot of gamers' heads because they're not directly, they don't think they know anybody who's directly affected by this stuff.
And I suppose that kind of lies into the question I say to you, Paul, is as a industry wide for gaming, would you like that to be pushed harder from not just only Xbox but from other companies?
Oh, yeah, I often said that like accessibility and should become a part of the everyday discussion when we talk about games. When you review a game,
yes,
the accessibility features shouldn't be, and also, by the way, it should be it should be a normal discussion. Okay, now, like I'm looking at my screen, and two of you are wearing glasses right now. Do either one of you considered yourself disabled?
You took them off now. Look,
all good, all good. Not anymore.
No,
all good.
No, but really, I mean, even by Xbox's standards, you have a sight deficiency. You would fall under the disabled.
I do. If I take these off, you're a blurry motherfucker. But you've always been a blurry motherfucker anyway, Paul. But you've always been blurry. However, when I put these on,
okay, where did that come from? Like, there we go. I just wanted to get that. I just wanted to
Paul understands the joke. It's fine.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, it's so normal in today's world to see people with glasses. You don't think of them as being disabled, but they are.
No, you're right. Yeah. I never thought of that before, but you're right. Yeah. You are.
Because it's normal. Because that's normal. You see people with glasses, and it's you're like I said, you're just so used to it, you don't even think about it. And that's why this time when you all watched the thing when Phil, in the springtime when Phil did his thing for the Accessibility Summit, he said 300,000 gamers identified disabled. What they mean by that is the people have identified by taking surveys and stuff, such as I have through Microsoft, that say, yes, I have a disability. This time he actually said 400,000. I still think that number is a lot higher than we realize because of the fact that most of you don't consider yourself disabled. But you're using an outside tool to make your vision, quote, normal.
Well, for instance, those who use subtitles, how many of you have, say, if you're, for me, I actually quite use subtitles quite a lot. How many of you want to go, I wish I could increase the subtitles to a bigger size? You may, classic, that's, a lot of people, even with.
Oh, you're talking about that kind of usage
I'd
of
say
subtitles.
I could do with it being a little bit bigger.
See,
because like I was going to say, like I'm from Brazil. Everybody here says, "Oh my god, I need subtitles."
Yeah,
it's simple as that.
But it's one of those things, isn't it? It's subtitles. Very few people would assume that is, just that ability to scale subtitles. Is
that's a big
thing.
one because the first game I saw where it was Capcom who said screw you, don't care, was Dead Rising, the first game. The writing on the screen was so small that you couldn't read that shit unless you had like perfect vision. And when people reached out to Capcom and said, hey, can you make it so we can adjust these, or can you make them bigger so we can read them? And Capcom went, no, we're good. Yeah, it's like, really? Can you imagine how that would work today if a company did that? Yeah.
Some do.
So to this day, I've never been able to. I've never been able to play Dead Rising, the first one, because of that. Because I can't read what the hell's on the screen. Even on a big screen, the writing was really small. By the way, I want to speak to somebody in the chat. I believe Indie Gamer on the Xbox surveys. Did I get the Microsoft surveys? They do when they ask about disabilities, they do ask about epilepsy and seizures in particular. So for Xbox, you would be classified as disabled. But yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought.
Industry-wide increases.
the one thing I would like to see, and I've said it before, is more actual representation in games. The whole prosthetic thing is a big plus, but I would like to see people in wheelchairs. I would like to see people on crutches, and not just background stuff. Not like the guy in Cyberpunk in a wheelchair where you go punch him and he gets up and runs away. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. I would just fall.
Unfortunately, Paul,
Was that a-
I've just unfortunately, Paul, when you're not so busy, I volunteered you to have a recorded chat between me, you, and Lady Foxfire. If that's okay,
That's
because
fine.
I'd like to discuss about it. Of course, not right now because you are so busy. You are into this whole thing you're doing right now. It's awesome. It's fucking brilliant what you're doing right now. I'm glad I've got your time tonight. But yeah, I've offered it up to Lady Foxfire. She wants to chat about it. I think it would make a really decent interview.
Right.
To try and make people sort of understand, because I'm one of those people that I'm not affected by this. So I have questions. I have questions, not for a podcast, but I think we could get there. And I'm really good friends with you. We say that. Maybe.
Who were you again?
You're very good acquaintances with you.
Yeah. I've met you before somewhere. I can't remember where. No, but you know what I mean. I volunteered you to be come with. I mean, that's would be an absolutely brilliant chat.
One thing I do want to throw out there, speaking of chatting, on the 28th of this month on the Xbox Ambassador Switch channel. So many of you probably have never gone over there, but go, even if you don't follow the channel, go follow it temporarily. On the 28th, I will be doing a 2-hour chat with me, Sightless Combat, which I know a few of you here know and have gamed with.
Yeah.
Viper 7 Gamer.
Yep.
But I'm also going to be Edge 1970, who's one of our stream hosts on the Ambassador channel. His daughter has a disability, so we're also going to approach it from how he works with her, or what he sees through her trying to play games. We're also going to have a child who is actually in the process of losing his sight, and there's nothing they can do about it. So we're going to, getting his point of view, and his mother's going to be with him because he is 13 years old. But how gaming is, because he still games. He plays Minecraft and a few other things, but he has to stand literally right next to the TV, and soon he's going to be in the same boat that Sightless is in, where he is 100% cannot see anything. And if you've ever played with Sightless, it's amazing to watch him play. It really is.
It's going to be, as you said, it's going to be a benefit, isn't it? Because he'll be able to give him advice, give him. He's gone through that process, and so it's going to be helpful. Yeah. And also, it's going to be helpful to those who don't know.
Sightless was born blind, so it's even a little bit different than what Sightless has gone through. But the big one is, now you watched the thing that Microsoft did. Brandon, I can't think of his last name right now. It's a interesting last name that I misspelled on the tweet earlier today, and I got yelled at for. But he is the lead. He is the lead of that section of Microsoft. He's going to be in the chat there with us as well. Okay. So, by the way, it is getting promoted. Who said that in chat? I can't really read the chat. If you look at my Twitter, it's the pinned tweet, and a lot of people have retweeted it today, but it's going to be retweeted a lot this month.
Z Back Rider. Just check out Cerebral Paul's channel, which will be in the description. I hope. Find that, and it will be. We will all. Yeah. If you follow any of us, we will all be sort of pushing that out. We all will be.
Yeah.
Every one of us. Even if you follow one of us, you'll be able to find him.
VJ, did you watch this show? Have you got any thoughts on it as well?
Not really. I stepped away from the conversation, but I think.
Thanks, VJ. Yeah. I'm gonna go now. Okay. You're gonna. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I was having my clairvoyant moment as well. I was. Just somebody mentioned. I think it was removable back games. I just finished. I remember The Witcher was terrible for font size, and I just finished playing Man of Medan, and my eyesight's not what it used to be, and I really struggled with the subtitles in that game, and that was just obviously yesterday. And I think, for a long time, I think as Ruva was saying, that being able to adjust the font size in any game, and even the sort of sometimes, you have the text and it's the right size, and then the background layer that it's on, the opacity level sometimes not quite where it needs to be, and all in all, I think what I've heard, it's all very welcome. I know that these are just because I had a quick look at the link you sent me just as we were chatting, because I was trying to figure out what we were talking about, and I know that some of these are that I've just mentioned are just a fraction of the accessibility options on offer or that have come about that we may see, depending on the game, the developer, and what platforms holders have got to say for themselves, right? And for me, the only time I really played around with accessibility options was probably with The Last of Us 2. I was chatting to, I think, Mr. Tucci about that a little while ago, but for me, I just trying to understand, because it is a lot of it is in the power of Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, if they turn around and make it mandatory, right? And I don't know if in previous generation of console systems, that given the accessibility options that Xbox are talking about or Paul's mentioning, etc., was due to the lack of technology or hardware limitation. But I kind of want to lean towards that. It's the fact that it hasn't been made mandatory, right, as part of Sony, Nintendo's, and Xbox's TRCs or TCR checks. I mean, the mandate's so much stuff before you can even submit a game. So I'm just trying to think that why they couldn't implement all of those. And I just mentioned The Last of Us because it was on one of their documentaries, like a 5-minute video where they'd actually got I think it was a 2-man team or a lady and a gentleman that actually worked on all the accessibility features for that game. So it's not as if it's it's counterintuitive or counterproductive in terms of investment. It is obviously can be done, and at a glance at what you guys are chatting about, I feel that Xbox may be taking accessibility options a step further, right? But I think it's all part of a flag of inclusivity, right? Or perhaps even just one layer of a triple decker club sandwich. I'm hungry at the moment, and take it a step forward. And I think Xbox, and not just Xbox, all platform holders for that matter, should make it mandatory going forward that all first party games at the minimum, and perhaps third party titles as well, where applicable, right? Because I'm not saying that every game must have it, right? But where applicable, and the boxes that can be ticked and it can be implemented when it goes in for QA at first party, that they can point out, hey, look, guys, why haven't you incorporated, a list of all these options, right? Backwards compatibility and optimized for Xbox is all great, but but the platform holders coming together and making it mandatory across all systems, because they do come together on many things, right? So this perhaps should be one of them, as Paul's. I mean, I've only said what I've said, but I still think that Paul's probably best placed to afford a far more balanced opinion, right? And in terms of what's desirable, right? And what it means for the community at large, right? And how it drives or cruises towards, the human goal, not just the gaming goal, right? Of inclusivity. And again, just to reiterate, it should be as and when it makes sense, right? To implement all aspects of accessibility or parts thereof, right, given a specific game and how it's been conceived. But all in all, it's a great step, and it's all good in anyone's book, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was gonna say real quick, what surprised me, Deathloop came from a Microsoft studio, and it's probably one of the most inaccessible games you'll ever play. They didn't think that through.
Do you think that was? Do you think that was? To be honest with you, that's a good question. Do you think that was the development studio's fault, or do you think, and probably more likely to be the case, the accessibility options is kind of left to the very last minute?
I would say there's two things there. I would say there's two things. One, as I say, it's going to be down to what are the technical requirements and checks, or TCRs, from Sony and Nintendo as a mandate, and they have tons. They have hundreds of them, if not thousands of them, that you have to acquiesce to. I don't know, that might be the wrong word there, but you have to abide by those. And so, and as I say to you, I thought, is it hugely expensive? Is it blah blah blah? But if two people can incorporate all those accessibility features in The Last of Us 2, it's not a huge investment as far as I can see, right? So it's just got to be made mandatory by the powers that be, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, to say, look, these are accessibility features, and come together on the topic really, and eventually just make sure it's all about expanding their customer base, and that the studios can, as and when where the game design allows for it, is make sure it's implemented to a minimum.
Yeah, it's because I know the Microsoft does have a list of things that they would like to see in their games in regards to accessibility. And like you said, not every accessible option works in every game, because it can severely unbalance the game. Which so there are certain things that work, certain things that don't. But it almost seems like for some reason they didn't even look at the list. Maybe they're looking at it, well, it's not going to be a Microsoft game for another year, so let's get it out in this form for these guys, and then the Xbox version will have all these new bells and whistles added to it.
Yeah, that sounds like something that, again, as VJ's saying, it sounds like then there is slightly different mandates, or and you assume there would be.
Sorry, can I just say something? To be fair to you, Removable, right? When they bought that game, it was already well into development, and it was a third-party studio. So I don't know if they could or could not implement accessibility options. But if it's not just first party, if Microsoft said, look, first party and third party, all discs have got to be backwards compatible as of this day, blah blah blah. So to implement something like mandatory, and they don't have to bring in 100 of them at once, but just phase them in over a period of time. And patches, I'm sure patches could be offered and afforded, but do publishers
text
and
font
do
size
developers
guaranteed in every game or something?
But do publishers and do developers think that, well, hang on a minute, if we go ahead and make a backwards compatible patch where it allows inclusivity for people that need those accessibility options, does it make commercial sense? It makes you wonder, right, how they are actually thinking, right? They may all look like lovey-dovey to us from the outside, but they're making these decisions, right, consciously. And if someone at somewhere, a stakeholder saying, well, it doesn't make commercial sense, then we won't do it because that slice of our customer base is so small, we don't need to really do it because there's no real benefit to us. That I'm sure that goes through a lot of third-party studios. So as I say again, it's got to come down to the powers that be to mandate it, right? And say, look, if you want to make a game for our format, for our hardware format, you're going to have to do A, B, and C. And
the question I suppose is do we leave it to, and I suppose Paul and VJ will probably be best person, do you leave it to people such as Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony to mandate it, or do you mandate it at a higher level?
No, let them mandate it. I'm all. Don't get the government involved in stuff like this.
No, they'll turn
around.
No,
I'm not necessarily talking about government. I'm not talking about God, no.
Paul, he's talking about Removable Sanity. He's talking about himself. He is the higher power.
Just to jump in there, Indie Gamer was asking, what was it that Deathloop was actually lacking?
I can't speak to it personally, but I got a lot of messages that there was a lot of accessibility things that were there, like that weren't there, to make it easier to like read or stuff like that. And most people I've seen agree with that. I can't speak to it personally, but a lot of people, I think, Can I Play That even had an article on it that made it difficult to play. And that's all they kind of work with is Can I Play That? It's about the different accessibility options in games and what's what it does and doesn't do right. So but the only reason I brought that up is because it just shows that we still have a long way to go, that even some of the newer games I've played are lacking in things that I would think by now really should be second nature and should be included in the games if possible.
But exactly. Font size. First one. Font size options. Font size transparency. It really shouldn't take that much to implement.
No.
Or controller remapping, to me, for my needs, controller remapping is like number one. And most games do not have customizable controller remapping. They have a bunch of presets, but they don't necessarily have where you can fully customize the controller.
Speaking of that, doesn't Xbox have? You can actually remap using the Xbox. Am I correct? They were looking into that?
The Elite controllers can do that, which is why I really, really miss my Elite 2. anybody wants to get me anything for Christmas, there's your thought.
So in a way, Microsoft has
Bill, you know what to
circumvented
do.
the mandate.
Yeah. But yeah, like I had a game in mind that I couldn't remap the way I wanted to. Oh crap, forgot all about it now. But anyway, yeah, what it comes down to with me, guys, is if you look at my left hand, I have almost had no dexterity. I cannot pull the trigger and do the left stick at the same time. So I try to move as much as I can over to the right hand side of the controller. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Even though it's a little bit buried and a little bit, but in Halo Infinite, you can fully remap the controller. The only downside is the screen prompts for those maps do not change. So all of a sudden your left shoulder button control, and even if you flip them where you want them, they don't flip on the screen. So if you visually look at something, it could get a little confusing. So hopefully they're going to fix that, because there's really no reason they really shouldn't flip. If you remap the controls, the game should know, okay, this is where this used to be and this is where this used to be. You know. So hopefully they fix that. But yeah, I that's another reason, and it's going to come back around. I'm very impressed with Halo Infinite because of that. Their accessibility abilities. I think I talked to some of you in parties about changing the way the characters are highlighted, so you can tell the difference between the friendlies and the foes much better than by default. Yeah.
Yep.
So
more than once.
Yeah. All those little changes mean a lot.
Yeah, we have discussed, Paul.
Yeah.
Between the pair of us, a lot about accessibility. Sorry. There's certain things we've played together where you've gone, I'm going to struggle, and it's like it's okay, it's fine, it's fine. Do you know what? We have played a few things together that you struggle with, and I'd like to chat. I'd like to chat about that as well. So. What I've offered up to as part of your whole thing you're going on this month, I've offered up to is it Lady Fox?
Lady Foxfire.
Yeah.
Her,
yes. I would like to do an interview on your channel where I would like to ask you a lot of questions. There's so many questions that people are afraid to ask that about disability in gaming and availability in gaming and all
they
that
don't want
sort
to
of stuff.
offend, do they? So it's very
So I'd like.
Why
to
are
ask
people afraid to ask? Am I that intimidating?
Yeah.
Am I that
No,
intimidating to you
that.
people?
I know.
I'm kidding.
It's not that. I would like to ask those questions if you want to host it. With this,
that's fine.
With the month you're doing, why not?
Yep.
Yeah. I'd like to do that. I'd like to offer myself. I would like to ask as many questions as possible. If you want to hook that up, I will go in for it. Yeah.
Are you trying to move the show along over there?
No.
Fabio, I see you like waving your hands.
Fabio's like, next topic.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I'll get you into a dance.
Here's the thing when it comes to this kind of subject to talk about accessibility. I just prefer to listen. This is something that I think is the best thing you can do. Like listen and learn. And what better way to learn if not with Paul? Like like that. I think that's just amazing.
Especially
that's why I'm
with
not
Paul.
that's why I'm not talking at all, because it's just been so amazing to listen to all of this, and I'm learning so much. I think it's just great. That's why I said that the event itself, the video itself that we had from Xbox, I think just the idea that they care to have made something like that is just fantastic. So
yeah, I definitely think that should be a thing. Let's have a chat, Paul. We'll do it. We'll do it, and we'll get. I've invited Lady already because she's legally blind. You can get whoever you want in, and I'll ask as many questions that I'm sort of Not sure we should ask. It's going to be. I'm going to be very, very respectful and everything, but we just don't know what we just don't know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be a nosy bastard. You know me, Paul. We're good friends.
Worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to ask a question, and I'm going to be like, "Sawed off, you wanker," you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
This is going to be really well done.
Anybody who comes in, don't worry. Paul can control me. In fact, Paul does. Paul does control me. He's got like a little remote control.
I'm the dominant. He's the submissive. That's how it works.
Okay,
so
maybe
we are
diverted from disability into sexuality very quickly here.
Okay.
So on that note, I am sure we have got more topics. On that note, that was a hell of a long topic.
Well,
Jesus
it was a great
Christ,
topic.
that was huge, very good, but very long. So let's move along, please.
I've heard that about me. Yes, very good, but very long. Yes.
Yeah, never.
Okay. This is the XBL Party Podcast all over again. What's happening?
No, move along. Stubbs.
But one of your co-hosts asked me if I was going to be on your show again, so be aware of that. So
go on.
Okay. You just make sure that we are not going to call please.
See, there's 10 minutes to the show left. I don't really think we've got time.
It's fine. It doesn't matter.
If you want to fit
that, come on, chat. Give us a comment. Chat.
You're not on a timer. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it goes to. It doesn't matter if you do an hour show or 3 hour show. Just do the next topic. It's fine. It's all good.
I haven't got one. I know you've got one.
If I have to leave a little early for my next show because I am going to be on another show tonight.
Well, in that case, then let's have a word with chat. Chat, how about? Is there a topic that you would like to ask one or multiple of the panel? Spam it into the conversation.
Do you have a question or do you have a question for any of us?
Exactly. Say it now, and we'll try and answer as many as possible. And yes, I can confirm, Paul does wear Xbox underwear.
It's only because he gets it for free. He's so awesome. He gets Xbox underwear for free. That's why.
I was about to ask, like, how do you know this detail? Like,
yeah, because
I get DMs, and that's all I'm saying.
We get DMs. Nice.
Yeah, he's the only member of my OnlyFans channel. It only has one membership, so there you go.
Like, I just love.
It cost me a bloody fortune.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest, right? He would have me as an OnlyFans subscriber, but he makes it. Fuck you, Stubbs. Why?
There we go. I was even about to say, like, I just love how Stubbs is just silent, watching the chaos to go, and that's it.
That's funny. He's turning into Wilmy. Guinness or piss? Guinness.
Oh my god.
Right, Stubbs. Topic or not?
No, because I've got to go to bed soon.
Okay, so the final minutes are just going to be us talking about bullshit.
I'll just do the outros now. I will, but it's been a very good show. 3 topics is about covered the whole show. I think we had some good opinions and good thoughts on all the subjects we've covered.
There was
especially, you say?
There was at least 6 topics. We nearly got there.
What?
We did 3. It's good. It's fine.
What script have you got? I sent the topics out. It was only 3.
I added about fucking 2.
Okay.
It's fine.
I didn't see them.
Carry on.
Professionalism.
Professionalism. Fabio says move on. Outros.
Okay. Outros. I'll have to go through them and look at it next
So
week.
unless you really want a quick talk about the Steam Deck, telling people how to open it and break their shit.
Oh, that, yeah.
Is that a
believe
thing?
that.
Really?
That's a thing.
Twitch.
Yeah, they posted a video.
Why?
It literally says, here's a video showing you how to open your Steam Deck to replace parts. But we also advise you not to do this.
Can blow up.
If you break the battery, it could blow up. Yeah, like really. Awesome.
Like,
But that's the
That-
kind of thing Valve would do. That is.
I think I don't know. I'm not sure about this, but I think there is one wrong thing in that in their idea. But okay, let's just go with that. Ah, Jesus. Human
I,
spirit.
I think it's awesome. I thought it was awesome. Here's how you do this, but if you do
Did they
it,
blow up? Did they blow up?
Well,
red one.
it's a clever thing. Let's face it. Void your warranty, so you have to buy another one.
And after you get out of the hospital from the acid burns from the battery exploding on you.
That's your fault. They did say don't do it.
When you buy the thing, he has a contract saying that Valve is not responsible by any injuries. That's it.
Yep.
But please do try to open the thing.
Yeah. But if you really want to open it, here's how to do it correctly. Yeah.
You're gonna get a really
Yeah.
big surprise.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a bit crazy that was, but that's the way Valve are.
Yeah. I guess we could do the closing now.
Yeah.
What order are we going to do this?
There we
in?
go, Stubbs.
Fabio, it's been great to have you on, and thanks for coming on. It's been fun. It has.
Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Sure. No matter if I do. Let me get my list here. So people, you can find me on Twitter at Fabio Amorim 97 with a capital F. You can also find me on Xbox as BofanLaser8. That's my gamer tag. And if you want to know exactly how it is written down, just go to my tweet. It is there. And you can also find me on the XBL Party podcast. We do shows on Saturday at 4 p.m. BRT, 8 p.m. BST, and 3 p.m. EST. So we are a small group. We have people from the UK, from America, and Brazil. And we always end up talking about shit, crazy things, and gaming. We try to go to gaming, but the people don't help me at all.
Yeah, it's more shit and crazy things than Fabio going, move on next. Come on.
Yeah, and Fabio saying, "Let's go to the next topic, please." That's it. That's my catchphrase in that podcast. Like,
Let's go to the next topic. Yeah.
so soon enough, we are going to make a T-shirt with.
I was gonna say we need a T-shirt
let's
with
go
your
to the
face.
next-
Now all it says is let's go to the next topic.
No, Ashley is already working on it. It's like a chocolate bar. It's written down, get to the topic, and my face at the point of the bar. That's it.
Oh, I can
Sounds
believe
like
that. Yeah, I can.
I have to admit the time I was on your show, it was nearly 3 hours. It was like, my God, are we still going? Really?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, they told you off for not sending the topics on enough. Bastards. So
Yeah.
you got to get your game on, dude. You got to do that.
I'm
It's
the only
your
one
challenge.
I'm the only one who tries to make something listenable. Simple as that. Oh my God. But yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys. It was really a pleasure.
Yeah, it's good to have you on, Fabio, finally. It was very good. And Cerebral Paul, thanks for coming on. I know you've got to go very soon, so I'll get your outro.
Yeah, you want to know where to
Okay,
find me
quick.
in about 45 minutes. You can find me on Gaming Beyond the Box. Yeah,
Wow. Nice.
no kidding. And then on Thursdays you can find me on 4GQ TV with the lovely people over at Clowns and that part of the Gamers United Guild. On Sundays you can find me in Good Morning Xbox with Nukem. You can find me at Twitter at CerebralPaul1. That's the important one. Go over there. Smash that follow button so you'll know whenever I go live, especially since I'm doing some of the special stuff later this month on the Xbox Ambassadors channel. And what am I forgetting? Let's see, this one on Wednesday. Let's see, Sunday. No, I think that's about it. Oh, I have something on Tuesday. I don't remember what it is, but whoa, it's Retro Renegades, which isn't a podcast so much of a bunch of us just get together, get loud, and have a lot of fun. You think I'm foul mouthed and dirty here?
Beer.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It is.
It's all about the beer. It's
That
not
is
really
the
a
motto.
podcast.
That is the motto.
Yeah. It's more of a drink cast than a podcast, but it's fun.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Paul.
Yep.
And Animated Evil, thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure, and unfortunately, right now, as I don't normally do, I am doing a full outro. So
I gotta go.
if you guys have got somewhere to go, I would suggest you go there now because I'm a busy boy. Okay. So we'll start with Wednesday because Wednesday is today. Wednesday, I am with Mr. Stubbs and all the gang. Love you all for that. And Cerebral Paul, you're with me there as well. So Thursday, I am on 4GQ TV. Cerebral Paul, you were there with me as well because you know what? They're employing the good guys, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Friday, Saturday, I do community game night. Sunday, I am on the Flemish Experience. Plus, I am also on, after the Flemish Experience, on my Twitch account. And then Monday and Tuesday, Twitch account for me where I'm streaming. So, yeah. And you will find my Twitch, Animated Evil 857, capital A, capital E. And yes, the best place you can find me doing what I'm doing is on Twitter, Animated Evil.
Thanks for coming on. You're definitely a busy man. Definitely.
Every night,
Very
dude.
busy.
Every night. Yep. Every single night I'm doing something. But that's
Don't
fine.
burn yourself out.
All good.
Don't burn
You
yourself
don't
out.
sleep.
I won't. It's fine.
That's it.
It's all good.
Good. And Removable Sanity, thanks for coming on.
No, thank you very much for having me on again, and it's fantastic to see Fabio. Hopefully, we'll get him on again. Again, obviously, lovely to see everybody in the crew, and even just let me have a little play and let me have a chat. I'm always appreciative. If you want to hear more of me talk, I don't know why you would, but there you go. You can find me on here on most Wednesdays, or you can find me on Twitter, Minds, YouTube, and Xbox under the name Removable Sanity. That's
yes, thanks for coming on. And VJ, thanks for coming on, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Nice to meet you, Fabio. Sorry, I almost said Hagrid there for a moment.
Oh, yeah. Sure. No
yeah,
worries. A pleasure as well, Harry. There we go.
Yeah, no, it's been a good show. Some good topics, Stubbs. So thanks for having me on, and hopefully see you next week.
Do you want to tell people where they can find you? Or...
no, not really.
Oh, no. No. Okay. Thanks for coming on, VJ.
Sure.
And you can find me on this channel, people. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And this Saturday, I have my Stubbscast show where I interview different content creators. And this Saturday, I have Judzilla Music on. So it's 10 p.m. British Summer Time, 5 p.m. EST, and 2 p.m. PST. I'll be interviewing Judzilla Music. I'm really looking forward to that. So if you tune in, be a good show. If you don't, it's also available on podcast feeds and after the fact. As I know it's a Saturday night, and some people go out. The world's reopened. So thanks everyone for coming on the show today, and thanks everyone for turning up in chat and supporting the show and dropping a like and subscribe and sharing. Thank you for everyone, and we will see you all next week.
Thanks.
See you later. Bye.
Play games, have fun. Good night.